So next, I will invite Carol and Greet to talk to us about e-learning and using e-learning to advance advocacy and leadership.
Good afternoon, everybody. I was thinking we could do this presentation in French, but I think for the sake of keeping alternating, keep everybody awake, so we'll proceed in English. We heard today, and especially in the sessions before, about using regional centers and decentralizing training, and I think we want here to push it a bit further. We want to focus on a delivery method of knowledge and to focus on e-learning. And we're going to present a case study where we use e-learning to advance advocacy and leadership in supply chain management. We developed this, the abstract, my colleague Rit and my colleague Manusika, who unfortunately couldn't attend, but just wanted to acknowledge a contribution. To start with, I'm just going to briefly describe who we are and what we're doing. So I+ Solution is a non-profit organization based in the Netherlands. We mainly deal with supply chain management. That's our core activities, but our vision is to improve access to essential medicine in low and middle income countries. As I mentioned, we do procurement and supply services for several large donor programs. We also investigate access to barriers to access to reproductive health commodities in countries for market dynamics. I invite you to visit our website if you want to know more about these activities. But what we will focus now is on our capacity building activities. You heard my colleague Kunshi presenting just after lunch about the PSM toolbox. So this is one of the things we do. It's this repository of tools, so knowledge tools for supply chain management. But we also have been delivering trainings for nearly 10 years now on nearly all areas of supply chain management. And what we had been doing so far was to do on-site training. So we had annual trainings in the Netherlands and in France, and also tailor-made trainings in countries for organizations that who requests it. The participants for this kind of trainings were the usual suspects, so ministries of health, central medical stores, and people involved in all walks of life in health development programs. So everybody, this was mainly in-service people that already work in supply chain management, and on top of that, it's always one person representing an organization or fairly limited groups of people due to scheduling constraints or just budget constraints when you have to book a venue and make time available. So we wanted to reach a larger audience, and that's why we decided in 2013 to start developing an e-learning platform to teach about supply chain management. The reason we chose e-learning is because, first of all, you can train a really large number of participants for relatively low budget. You don't need to book a venue, you don't need to fly trainers or attendants or training participants around. And it's truly part-time activity. It doesn't take participants away from their workplace, which is very important when you train people in health systems who already really lack capacity. One of the problems that has been raised about using e-learning in developing countries is, of course, the internet coverage and access. But what we believe is now with the rising in ownership in smartphones and tablets, we're moving into the right direction where a larger and a larger amount of people can be reached through these e-learning courses. So while we were starting to develop this platform, Swiss TPH and the University of Basel got in touch with us. They were developing their MBA program in international health management. And they asked us, well, why don't you make a module on supply chain management? And we thought, well, okay, that's exciting because it's actually really rare to see postgraduate education in international health, global health, that has a supply chain component. So this is like a case study of pre-service education, but for people who are not necessarily going to work, especially in supply chain management. But, well, I'll just show you to demonstrate the kind of participants from the last 2 years. So people who attend MBAs are typically people who are already professionals or are aiming in their careers to achieve positions in the health system when they will be in decision-making places, and also able to influence policy making. And this is, I think, what we're saying. There was a great opportunity to try to raise awareness about supply chain management and and how it integrates in the health system with this new target. So how did we do that? So we basically have a module with 13 chapters that cover all the steps of supply chain management, because those are the students who are people who had very little or no knowledge at all about what is supply chain management and what does it mean. But what particular is we really focused on how to integrate the concept of supply chain management within health systems, how they form essential and part of functioning a system, and how they can be integrated. So there's a large focus on the management functions, human resources, and well, things that managers need to know in order to plan for a functioning health system. The approach we adopted, so the student had 3 months of access to the course online with activities, etc. So it's self-directed learning and facilitated by us in I+ Solution. Although we designed the course in such a way that all the knowledge is available, it's comprehensive, the online course is comprehensive, the requirements of the universities were such that we needed to give an on-campus week face-to-face with the student, which we used to have group activities and implement concepts for the principles of adult learning. One of the common criticism about online learning is that is boring, basically, because you never see anybody, you're behind your computer by yourself. So I will now let my colleague Geert try to explain how we made sure that participants kept engaged through the duration of the course through social activity and interaction.
Okay, thank you, Carol. So this learning platform we used is an existing one. It's Moodle, an open source, free learning platform made by teachers in Australia. It's available for anybody who just can put it on a server. We decided to choose for Moodle because it already has many features, many plugins that are available to make the content, like my colleague said, interesting for students. So if you click on any of these topics, what will you see? You will see traditional lessons, you will see interactive lessons, you will see quizzes, discussion forums, books, texts. So through all these features, we tried to attend to the different learning styles of students. A lot of audiovisual materials too, links to videos. But I do not want to go into much detail about this. I want to stress some other features that we normally do not relate with e-learning. And Moodle stresses these as an educational theory. It's social learning, constructivist and constructionist approach, and then, of course, the continuous feedback. So social learning, many people think learning is an individual activity. You know, you sit before a content, you sit listening to a teacher, and you digest what you hear. But more and more people realize that, in fact, you learn when you learn in a group, when you see others learning the same or differently than you do, that you have continuous interaction and continuous feedback from your peer students. So we have stressed this by giving importance to their profile. Students have to upload their picture. They have to participate in discussion forums. They have to message us, participate in chat sessions. So even when we were away, not on campus, we had a very good interaction with the students. Then, of course, you also have the constructivist approach, and that's more about teaching. Also, traditionally, a lot of people think that teaching is like a teacher having knowledge and giving or that to the student, like a kind of delivery. And I do not want to disappoint anybody here in this room, but I think teaching is not supply chain management. You're not delivering something. Learning is something that students do by constructing it themselves in interaction with their environment. Then, a small difference, there's also the constructionist approach. That means that you learn most when you explain something to your teachers, to your peers. So on this basic educational principles, Moodle is based. Then we also decided to give continuous feedback to students. After each module, they have a small quiz. They can access also and assess their own process through the course, their own progress to the course. I will give you some examples. The next one is like an example, it's a bit small, but it's a discussion forum on waiting lines. Why in some African health centers, even when medicines are available, there's still long waiting lines. So the students started, you see 5 students started a new discussion. They got a lot of feedback. The interesting thing was that the discussion moved a bit away of the reasons why to the cultural explanation. Some European students saying that waiting is always a loss of time. Some people from other cultures saying that it's sometimes part of the healing process, that women who are away from the daily course, they can talk about their problems during the waiting line, that it's not as negative as it seems. Yeah. So that was an interesting anthropological approach. Then, as to the constructionist, we let students just pick a topic, make an own presentation. During the on-campus week, they had to present it. We videotaped their presentations. We put it online. Here you only see the first page of the presentation because this is static medium. Online, you see, in fact, the videos next to the presentation, and you can follow what they were explaining at the moment. So now let's move to our results, not the evaluation. How did we evaluate this own course? Of course, as my colleague explained, it was part of a formal academic program. So we had the full assignments, exam cycle. We had to grade the students, so we know that they learned as to the content. But our aims, our objectives were broader. We also wanted to raise awareness. We wanted to enhance the advocacy of supply chain management. We also wanted to put the SCM in the global health agenda. Of course, these are long-term aims, and it's impossible at this moment to already evaluate if this really happened. We just gave the course last year for the first time. Next week, we're having the second on-campus session. But we thought also about some features to try to improve the probability that these objectives will be met. And one is that after finishing the course, we immediately enroll students in what we call an umbrella course. So all students who have followed this course, a kind of alumni group, we create a community so they have continuous access to the content. So the students who perhaps now are not involved in supply chain, in a few years' time, they are getting a new job description, getting a new job, so they can access the materials, participate in discussion forums, ask us questions and I+ solutions. Another feature is e-badges. I don't know, traditionally, if you're successful in an academic program, you get a certificate. What do you do? It's very individual. You hang it out in your office or in your room. But now, with the creation of the internet and the big community and networking possibilities that it creates, now e-learning moves with e-badges. E-badges, so we decided to reward all the students with an e-badge. They can create a backpack online. Future employers can check there if they're legitimate, if they really got this. These are not just images, they are protected. And they can also import these badges on their Facebook pages, on their LinkedIn. So we try to raise the interest of others. No, what did you study? What does this symbol mean? What exactly does it imply? So then, well, to end, of course, the evaluation of the students themselves is important, and I will give back, well, to Carol the word to explain this. Yeah.
So yeah, because it was the first time we gave this module, and the population was a bit unusual compared to our traditional audience of like supply chain managers, basically. We wanted to ask, like, what did you think? Like, for those people, mostly the students, like, supply chain management was a really esoteric subject. We never heard of it. So, what do you think? How does this subject fit into master's business administration in international health? And we were actually quite surprised to see a overwhelmingly positive answer. And I'm just gonna like read the first sentence. Like, those are students' quotes from the survey. Like, everybody needs to be aware of the importance of supply chain management in healthcare, and managers need to understand the importance of supply chain management. So we talked about that, or one of the goals of this course was to raise awareness on supply chain management in future policymaker, decision makers, and well, these are early indications that it might be like happening. And the idea is that, yes, once the students move through their professional lives, basically they have the package, even if it's not supply chain related, they have the background knowledge that's necessary, that when they do like policy that's related to health systems, at the back of their mind, they'll maybe remind that supply chain management is important and needs to be taken into account for successful intervention. What are our next steps? As Git mentioned, we're continuing through this MBA program, but of course that's a really limited amount of students. So we also working, we have an amended version of the course that's available publicly. And I invite you to visit iPlus Academy if you want to know more about this. We're continuously updating the course. That's one of the great advantages of e-learning as well. It's really easy to always like monitor developments and integrate it really fast in the course. And what we're thinking now is how to like make more people benefit from and try it on new audiences to see how it works. And well, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not here. Yeah, I'm not here tomorrow, but my colleague is. So I invite you to like look for her and ask her questions if you need to know more. Thank you.
Thank you.